News Radio 840 WHAS. Good Sunday morning. Bob Sokoler, the Louisville Real Estate Show, the first Sunday of June 2023. Hope you're having a good Sunday morning with us on the show. Got a lot of good questions. Chuck Crosby, who owns the Crosby Law Offices, not only do they do a phenomenal job of getting your loan closed, but they also do a great job in terms of wills and a variety of other things we'll go into a little later on in today's show. Also here, Randy Rocky, who is one of the head guys over at Swan Financial. If you are looking for a home loan, then Randy's the guy who you want to talk to. And by the way, he's got some new loan packages that are available. We'll talk about that in a moment. But let's review Chuck Crosby's phone number over at Crosby Law Offices, 499-6360. Randy Rocky's phone number at Swan Financial is 645-0736. And if you happen to be thinking about selling your home or buying a home, I can help you. I can do it in person. We can talk over the phone or via Zoom. I've got a lot of people who we talk to on a regular basis. We can map out a plan. There's no fee, no obligation to get the ball rolling, to at least talk about what the process is. You can reach me anytime on my cell phone, 376-5483. Again, that's Bob Sokoler, or you can go to bobsellslouisville.com, bobsellslouisville.com. All right, we start with an issue that's very important to anybody who owns a condominium here in the town or around the country and maybe even the world. It's a problem with balconies because of a lack of maintenance and updates. And we're going to need some advice from you, Mr. Crosby, Chuck Crosby, on this story. We've been reporting on balcony problems not only here in Louisville but around the country for a number of months. Condo associations have let the balconies go unchecked in some cases, or they've just deferred maintenance. And if you are a regular listener to the show, you know that you've heard about one building in town that has to replace or remove balconies on their entire building. They've received estimates of anywhere from $11,000 to $25,000 per unit, which would be assessed to the owners, and most all of them are going to have to take out a home equity loan. The implications for having to take out the home equity loan are pretty obvious. So, Chuck, the concern from condo owners in this particular building, and from my source, said the board may have a vested interest in seeing a Juliet balcony, which are basically gates in front of a sliding glass door, replace the larger balconies of approximately 10 by 14. And then my source says they've had several votes, over several months. There are no detailed plans in place for the condo owners to know what is actually going to be done. They're being forced to vote on something, and if they don't vote, then they don't have a say in this thing, and they don't have the full picture of what the costs and what it will be. And more disturbingly, at least one board member has a condo unit that walks onto land, which would not necessarily be affected by the removal of the balcony, and it would be replaced by a Juliet balcony. So they would still be assessed the money for the condos, the rest of the condos, but it would be lesser expensive and had little impact. So that all said, they're wondering, what can the condo owners do at this point? Is there something that you would suggest, and is it expensive to do whatever you're going to suggest? Your thoughts?
Well, it's always expensive. There's no way out of a problem like this without there being an expense. Mm-hmm. The fact that one person's condo opens out onto land, I don't know that makes a difference. He's still going to be assessed the same as every other unit. And it seems to me that the issue is, hey, you've got some guys that want this more expensive, presumably more, better change as opposed to the less good change. Mm-hmm. That's what the voting is about. Now, if they don't know what they're voting about, that doesn't seem like there should be a vote. But the fact is that vote is in the future. So if they get there and they find out that they don't have enough information, I'm betting somebody might want to make a motion to defer the vote until more information is given.
But the vote has already taken at least several times.
Okay, but if they, I thought your question indicated that there was a vote upcoming.
No, sorry. No, it has. They've already done two, and I don't know if there's more, but neither.
Well, that's what if they've done two votes for what? I mean, that's the whole thing. There's a lot of variables still out there. Now, if they've already voted to go with the lesser one, and this person just thinks they should have gone with the more expensive one, Well, that ship sailed. Um, if they did not jump through the proper hoops as should have been jumped according to the bylaws and the master deed and all that, well, that's something that's actionable. If they're not following the bylaws, then you can sue to have work stopped and go from there.
Yeah.
But you've got to be able to prove that case. Having just being disgruntled as to which company, which item is being purchased isn't going to be enough. You've got to actually have some hoops that have not been jumped through. Now, as to whether the board has a conflict of interest, I don't know that I necessarily see one there.
Yeah.
They're all residents. Okay. Now, this isn't unusual. There have been many scenarios where large numbers of residents will sue the board to take certain action or to not take certain action. Now, and that's just part of living together under presumably the same roof. You have that right, but you've got to have an actual claim. It just can't be disgruntlement.
Got it. So the point is, you've got to get the information and maybe have it reviewed by an attorney, which may or may not cost money to at least review it. So, all right, Chuck, there's not much we can do on this one at this point, but certainly at least it's out there. And this is not just isolated to this particular building, is it? There are a number of buildings.
There's condo residents will sue. I've seen them sue the developers, the folks who built the place, saying, "Oh, hey, this particular thing was built incorrectly.
Yeah,
we want you to come in and fix it." I think, there's also, it happens all over the place. It is not unique.
Yeah. If you'd like to see a rebroadcast or listen to this show again, you can go to LouisvilleAnswers.com. That is a redirect to our YouTube channel. Again, LouisvilleAnswers.com. And by the way, if you want to see what sellers are saying about us, easy. Go to LouisvilleGoogle.com or LouisvilleZillow.com. It's our review pages, and we'd love you to review. All right, we move over to Randy Rocky. So, Randy, there's the interest rates, and I know you're going to have to give out your NMLS number. Interest rates poked over 7, right, this past week?
NMLS number 26362, not with us.
Good.
Again, we always run about a half point better than our competitors. So we're in the sixes, mid sixes on everything. So almost all products, and VA in the mid fives actually.
Oh,
so
good.
So
there's a new loan program.
Yeah,
which I'm curious about. So what is that about?
Yeah, so mortgages are usually boring. The fun thing for us, Bob, is we know is when you get a first time home buyer in, or getting people in their dream home or what have you. That's where it's not boring. But let me tell you what. There's a hornet's nest was stirred up. So I send out a Facebook post: no employment, no income, 20% down, primary and secondary homes. We also do that with investment properties, and it's been going on since the mid 1990s. Basically, it's a hard money loan, but hard money means you put 20% down, and it did not stop in 2008. But the interest rates are usually in the 15 to 20% range, where ours are in the high 8s APR to low 9s. And man, did I get some amazing comments. So 640 credit score.
Yeah.
And my point was, they were like, this is 2008 all over again. Well, a couple of things. Back then they were doing 550 credit scores. We didn't really get into the game, but 550 credit scores, no money down. This is a 640 credit score with 20% down. So you have more skin.
It's a big skin of the game. Yeah, right.
Yeah. But a lot of people disagree with that. And to the point where a lot of people are like, well, the market could drop. Well, and then I get into supply and demand. There's 950,000 homes. We need 2.6 million. So we only have about 40% of the homes we actually have. So it's simple supply and demand, and appreciation from the top experts and the top company said that appreciation is going to be 5.6% this year. So my point being to everyone on the call is, this is for a non-W-2 employee. And this gets you in a home if you want to get into a home. And the other thing is, appreciation is going to continue to happen because it's simple supply and demand. If you only have 40% of the inventory you need, then we're in foreclosures are very small, all the
Right.
above.
Yeah.
It's just not, there's no relief in sight for us to get a big fluctuation of homes that come in the market. So I don't think I really don't think houses are going to depreciate. I think they're going to continue to appreciate, and I think home ownership is only going to get better and better, and it's something that I think if you're renting, you really need to look at buying a home.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. Let's move on. This one's going back over to Chuck. So Tommy writes in, and he's an agent here in the Louisville area, Chuck. His buyer allowed the seller of the home that Tommy's client was purchasing to stay in the house an extra week. So a post-occupancy agreement was signed with, I think it was $100 per day that the seller would have to pay if they didn't get out on time. Well, they didn't get out on time because apparently the seller, according to Tommy, the seller's house is not ready, even though they had this agreement in place. So Tommy now wondering and worrying for his buyer, how do they get the seller out since there's a post-occupancy agreement? And apparently the agreement that was used was the one on our contracts online on our realtor site, which is why you really need an attorney to draw up their own, right? Isn't that the case?
Yeah, there's a couple of things. You don't want to make them anyhow. Yeah, there are issues that I've seen on some of the post-closing occupancy agreements. Thing is, if you've allowed them possession, you cannot get them out without getting the court involved. Okay, you're talking about an eviction. So how your post-closing occupancy agreement is written up is really important, because if it makes them a tenant for 30 days, well, that really strings things out. Okay. If it makes them, they are going to be considered a tenant here in Jefferson County, at least, with the Landlord Tenant Act, no matter how long the time is. But there are different rules for notices depending on how long a term it is. Mm-hmm. Okay. So it gets a little confusing. So, if you keep it down to shorter periods of time that maybe can be renewed, etc. The long and the short of it is, it takes about 45 days to get a person out if you have to take them to the mat on that. More often what I see is the people are they get out before that time frame because the house is built or whatever, and they can leave. But then you sue them for the damages that are in that post-closing agreement. Okay, that's why you want to have not rent, but damages. Okay, so then you go after them for the damages, and setting it at $100 a day or more can be kind of painful. But it's something that you do have to take through the court. You can't have a couple of your buddies and a few baseball bats and
you're getting out today, buddy.
Yeah, right, that doesn't work anymore.
All right. Well, that hopefully, Tommy, I know that might not be the answer you want, but that's an answer you need to hear.
That's the thing is with these post-closing occupancy agreements. Yeah, it's like why don't you put some money up? I mean, something that is significant and painful. Why not do that?
That's a good idea. Well, that's what we need you to work these contracts or have these online forms.
There's a lot of little tricks that you get caught up with. But anyhow.
Yeah, with you. If you want to see some of the videos that we produce for our sellers and buyers, head to LouisvilleHomesTV.com. That's LouisvilleHomesTV.com. When we come back, and I'll tell you the genesis of where the story came from. 15 things you should never put in your dryer, your clothes dryer. With us continuing, Randy Rocky. He's co-owner of Swan Financial. You can reach him. They do a great job, and they've got this new loan program that's a no-doc loan with 20% down. This is interesting for a lot of people. You can call Randy, find out more, 645-0736. Also, Chuck Crosby, who is the owner of the Crosby Law Offices, Not only are they fabulous when it comes to real estate closings, they also do landlord tenant problems, foreclosure defense, commissioner sales, wills. I can tell you he does a great job on wills and powers of attorney and more. So you can reach Chuck to find out more about what he does. 499-6360. And if you're thinking of selling your home, we've got ways for you to be able to sell and not necessarily have to move out of your house before you find your next house. You want more information about that? It's important, especially in this day and age. You can reach out to me at 376-5483. That's again, Bob Sokoler, 376-5483, or start the process by going to bobsellslouisville.com. We're back in a moment on News Radio 840 WHAS. News Radio 840 WHAS, Bob Sokoler, the Louisville Real Estate Show. Thank you so much, Barbara Corcoran. You may know that with our guaranteed sale program, you can cancel at any time. There are no extra fees. That's the guaranteed sale program. Call me for that, or just to sell your home normally, because we do a lot of that. You can reach me on my cell phone, 376-5483, or go to bobsellslouisville.com. And with us, continuing to the top of the hour, Randy Rocky. He's the co-owner of Swan Financial. They do a phenomenal job of getting you approved to get your new home that you'd like. Call Randy at 645-0736. Also, Chuck Crosby, the Crosby Law Offices, they do a phenomenal job getting your home closed. And Chuck is not only personable, but he is actually a lot of fun to be with. So the closing goes fast. There's a lot of information. Please remember to ask Chuck, what is the meaning of life at the end of the closing? And you can reach Chuck at 499-6360. All right, so this all started with a friend of mine who got a new dryer. Let's call her M for no other reason. M got a new dryer, and she was really absolutely thrilled about this new washer dryer system. And she was talking about she was going to put all this different type of clothes in, including the unmentionables. You got my drift here. It's a morning show. Anyway, so this started, search for me on what she can and can't put in a dryer. And I thought this would be interesting to everybody who's got a dryer, whether it's new or old, or new house or old house. So 15 things. Flammable stains, that's cloths with oil or gasoline, never put those in a dryer. Activewear, when tossing your activewear into the dryer, it won't damage the machine, but it could ruin your clothing, so be careful. Lingerie, that probably goes without saying. You don't necessarily want to put lingerie into the dryer. Who knows what could happen? And that includes underwear. There you go, Em. Sandy towels and beachwear. If you're at the beach, don't put the stuff into a dryer, because that sand can end up getting trapped and damage the dryer over a period of time. Pet hair, that's a big problem for any of us who have pets. That hair can accumulate, and that creates problems. I think it goes without saying, chewing gum is a no-no. Spandex, this is an interesting point. So that spandex that keeps you tucked in, that can actually create problems for the spandex. You might want to try hanging them and drying that way, or do an air dry cycle for your spandex. Suede, heat melts plastic, ruining your garment and possibly your dryer in the meantime. Tights or pantyhose, no good. It will be a problem, and they'll rip and tear. Lace, another problem. Silk, also a problem. Rubber-backed bath mats. Now, putting a rubber-backed bath mat in the dryer, because I've done this, can end up being pretty messy, because this is a functional item and not a garment. It's okay to hang dry this one without worrying about stretching it out of shape. By the way, I put mine in there, the bath mat. I didn't have a problem, so maybe I got lucky. Wool, you can keep your well insulated to keep you in the wintertime, but it's a delicate fabric. You don't want to put it in the dryer. And bathing suits. The bathing suits, much like athletic wear and spandex, the high heat will wear out the elasticity of your suit and leave you with droopy shores or drawers at the beach. So those are some of the items. We go back to some of our questions. This one's going to go over to Randy. Jennifer sent us this email, Mr. Rocky. What should I do if I do not get a closing disclosure 3 days before my mortgage closing? Randy, what are your thoughts?
Oh, wow. You should get a CD for the closing 3 days before. So I think you need to ask the mortgage company, why didn't I receive that? And then proceed from there. That would be my, because and actually you also could bring in the title company, because you should receive a CD 3 days before closing.
If she doesn't, can she postpone the closing, or does that even play into the?
Yes,
Technically,
yes,
it has to be
it
postponed.
has to be.
Yeah,
Yes, you're exactly right, Chuck.
Yeah. Now, a lot of places will send it out like 7 days in advance, and as long as it doesn't go up, then everything's cool. That counts. But what we're always slapping our foreheads over is when we get listing agents calling us in. We didn't get our CD, our seller's CD, 3 days in advance. It's like, there's no rule that says you have to.
No,
it's the buyer's CD.
That's right.
Yeah.
Is there a rule for sellers? Because I can tell you that sellers want to know what. So day of, morning of, hour of. But I would tell you, most reputable attorneys who are going to close the loan, including, I can tell you, Chuck Crosby, will go over that closing disclosure in detail.
Yeah.
As much
I mean, there's no way that you don't do that. It's just a lot of times people are they want to get this done. They want to get this done. And the lender is, trying to help them out. Get this done, get this done. So the moment it's ready to go, they do it for the next day. Yeah. And it's like, well, if you're rushing something, you're going to have a little less time to look at this stuff. Okay. Yeah, we can push it out 3-4 days for you if you want to think about it, but nobody wants to do that. So, it's kind of some people will complain about it, but the vast majority of them are trying to get it done right now. And that's where the time lags fall apart.
That's what happens. Chuck, let's stay with you as long as we're here. Dawn sent us an email saying she is buying her first home with her boyfriend. His name is Paul. So Paul and Dawn. And she's wondering, is there a contract that they should sign between them before writing an offer? This is a very good. It doesn't necessarily have to be a boyfriend, girlfriend. Maybe you're buying a house with another entity that you want to share the costs. What would you suggest, Chuck?
You really do want to do something. The thing is, if your husband and wife, or if you're a married couple and you buy a piece of property, you've got laws that protect you if you break up. Divorce laws. A judge will be involved, can say who gets the house, yada, yada, yada. If you're not married, there's nobody that you can go to for that. Now you're talking about maybe a partition loss. Now it gets to be really hairy. Now you can set up contracts with each other. The question is, are they going to be enforceable? Well, I will say that if you don't do one, it's not enforceable. If you do one, I'd certainly have an attorney put it together. And then, maybe that will give you some relief about it in the future. But two individuals buying property that aren't married, that can blow up pretty good. So you want to do as much as you can to mitigate that possibility.
And I suspect there is a letter, an addendum, something that you would put together as their attorney to help that.
Yeah, there's things you can do. The problem is I've seen them not be accepted. Okay. When you're making a contract, there's, hoops you have to jump through. And the idea is that, well, you're not making a present intent to do something. It gets hairy. It gets hairy. But then again, that's the history of people who do joint ventures, guys who go into business with each other and buy property up. I mean, it's all basically the same concept.
Got it. All right. We move on. Dutch writes in, Randy, I recently declared bankruptcy. Now my mortgage servicer said it's not allowed to send me a monthly mortgage statement. He's wondering, is that correct? Have you heard that before? In a bankruptcy?
If it's Chapter 13, they would. Obviously, they would, and even Chapter 7. Chuck,
what about 11? Chapter 11.
There's a stay period where they don't want to violate. If they try and collect a debt during the stay, there's all kinds of penalties. Okay, I mean that violates all manner of rules.
So you still make a mortgage payment, right?
Oh God,
yes, of course.
Well,
okay.
Let's put it that way. as long as it follows the plan. If it follows the plan in the 13, yeah, you keep doing whatever. But the fact of the matter is they're stopped from doing certain things while that stay is ongoing. If they were to send you a bill during that stay, their attorney would start ripping out his hair. So they won't do that for a while.
But even in that Chapter 7,
yeah,
you still obviously can hold on to the house. Now they can seize almost every other asset, basically.
Well, it's not that they seize assets. Okay, it's not like they're going to come in and take your house. What they're going to do is make things dischargeable or non-dischargeable. Okay.
Well, I mean, everything outside the house, right? Yeah. Can't they take everything besides the home?
It's a question of taking. That's where we're getting a little. There's different shades with bankruptcy.
Okay.
You can reaffirm certain debts. Okay. And just because it's and with taking things, you have to have a secured debt, which is a whole different thing than an unsecured debt. All right. Mm-hmm. So there's just a lot of variables again that go into that sort of thing. Usually people will reaffirm those things with which they have secured debt, like your mortgage on your house. I'm going to reaffirm that, and then you go on. Mm-hmm. But nobody's going to send you anything until that stay is lifted. That's all there is to it.
Incidentally, if you're thinking of selling your home, something new here, I can meet with you in person. We can do it via Zoom or on the phone. It's a free meeting, no obligation. Go to bobsellslouisville.com, or you can reach out to me if you're thinking of selling your home or buying. We can help you. 376-5483. That's a direct line to my cell phone. 502-376-5483. As we wrap up, we thank Randy Rocky, who's with Swan Financial. He does a great job getting you pre-approved and to the closing table, and you can reach Randy at 645-0736. Also, Chuck Crosby, who is the owner of the Crosby Law Offices. They got a great group over there, and Chuck not only does real estate closing and does a great job at that, he does landlord-tenant disputes, foreclosure defense, commissioner sales, wills, power of attorney. He does a lot, and you can reach Chuck anytime, 499-6360. We're out of time. We'll see you next Sunday on News Radio 840 WHAS.